So I guess this guy calls himself the prison doctor. He tries to do some kind of prevention program with a lot of young people to try to keep them out of prison. Sometimes it's therapy, sometimes it's meeting with the parents, etc., etc. So this is a young man who's complaining about his mother's behavior and kind of explaining how it's messing him up.
She's the first person to not discipline you like a normal parent would.
You're saying she's provoking you. What you're saying.
Repeatedly. And it's to the point where it's like, what else am I supposed to do when I'm trying my best to stay calm and she's continuously trying to get you to where she's already at? And she wakes up and she's having a bad day.
Nigga, you gonna have a bad day. Did I just catch you trying to be happy? Bitch, not my house. That's the energy.
I understand this kid. I really do. That's sometimes in the Caribbean household, the only thing that you cannot. They hate when you're just not doing anything and you're chilling. They hate that. Your parents, they hate that. They gotta stress you out. Ooh, I understand the sentiment.
Any minor inconvenience, she will make the most out of it. She can never be positive when she's having a bad day. Ever. She can never. If one thing in her day goes bad, it's just she has to make it all bad for everybody else. It's a consistent thing. And just the way she treats not even me. The way she treats my siblings, all that stuff, it's ridiculous. And the way she talks to my dad too. My dad isn't perfect at all, but he's changed a lot.
Yeah, or her, or value.
Dang, the boy going through it. I wonder if his dad lives with him, like if his parents are together. Cause this seems like something. This seems like something that maybe a father would be able to mitigate if they were together. You know what I'm saying, like if that's your wife and your wife really be wilding out on the kids. You know what I'm saying? That's where the husband would come in and kind of like bring her back to earth. You know what I'm saying? Get her back in the right state of mind. Because going out of your way to like terrorize your kids, that just breeds resentment within them for you. You know what I'm saying? Or contempt for you. So that's one question I have. I wonder if the dad lives there. You know what I'm saying? And if he does, if they are together, like, well, if they are together, I feel for the man, because being with a woman that's just aggressive and unruly and won't allow anyone to have a good day if she's not having a good day, that's not a relationship that she want to be in.
Yeah, that hurt him. He said that because that's when he broke down, and I could, in the way he changed his voice, I could show you. When he said that his friend died and the dog died and something else happened, he says whenever he's going through a bad day or he's going through something out there, or whatever he's dealing with, he don't feel he can come talk to you about it. And then when he does talk to you about little things or whatever has happened, he doesn't get that same kind of like concern or that love or that coddling. Again, he's a child. He's 16, but he ain't grown. He's still a baby. He's 16. He's a kid. So they still be needing that attention, particularly from their mom. So if he's in an environment where he's seeing dad and mom argue, fight, he's seeing hostility and things going on, and then he's dealing with his own personal struggles out in the world, and then he's dealing with some other stuff mentally, and he's struggling like that, that's a lot.
You can see the kid shaking over there. You can see him sniffling. Some tears were shed. The mother in the video here.
And the mother doesn't care.
Definitely needs to start tuning in, because I understand that you might be bitter and resentful, but that's your job to manage that. And putting it down on your kids is one of the most unfair things, because you steal their sense of home away from them. That's why these little kids want to be outside all day long.
Bitter and resentful sounds like a single mom. I don't know if they have a little more context than me, but that sounds like single mom. You know what I'm saying? And I know single moms are under like a lot of pressure and all that, but it is not your place to take that out on your children. You know what I'm saying? You brought them into this world. It's your responsibility to nurture and cultivate as healthy a mind as possible within your child, and you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be the mom and be like the overbearing authoritarian at the same time. It just don't work like that. That's why you need two. You know what I'm saying? It's to keep that balance. You know what I'm saying? Because when you try to put it all in one, make one person do everything, your roles start to conflict with one another, and the way your kids view you. You know what I'm saying? It may be it may not be always the most positive way or the way that you want them to view you, because you have to take on certain roles because you don't have that other person there, and it makes your kids look at you a certain way.
And there's being outside because you go to the park, and there's being outside because you don't want to go home. Those are not the same. And I know kids like that even when I was growing up. Some kids didn't want to go home to avoid the beatings. Why? Because an angry parent, sometimes they just walk around looking for something to hit. The more time, the more opportunities for you to get hit. So it's just like,
want to avoid the nagging.
Right.
The nagging is, I think, because you're saying that. I started laughing because you said, I get triggered when a woman is nagging. I got triggered. I'm like, oh, you used to?
Used to, yeah.
I still do. I get triggered, but I leave. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, we're not doing this.
You know, you just learn certain things over time. You're like, okay, you know, sometimes nagging is just the way the person's voicing the frustration with the fact that you're just not hearing them, and so that repetition is all they know to like try to get the point across. So you have to be understanding of that, because sometimes you deserve to be nagged. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I was just gonna say sometimes the nagging is warranted. Like I know y'all done had the situation where your mama tell you take the chicken out of the freezer, or take the ground meat out of the freezer. You know what I'm saying? She told you take that out of the freezer 2, 3, 4 hours ago. Soon as she walked through the door, you're like, oh, I forgot to take the meat out the freezer. No, I know you done it. We done all did it. And in that scenario, if your mama done nagged you, you deserved it. Cause now nobody can eat. Now we gotta figure out, you know what I'm saying? Now we gotta throw some shit together real quick last minute. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes the nagging is warranted. You know what I'm saying?
You know, so it's just like, I'm not saying I love nagging or what now. You know what I mean?
You love it.
Love.
All I wanted was a zero minimum manufacturer, and then I found Tap Stitch.
But it just, I've mellowed out so much since I've like worked through a lot of this shit, and it's a lot easier for me to manage. My childhood used to be a big problem for me before. Now I'm straight. I'm chilling. But I used to be gay.
Yeah, we know that.
That's why I moved out at 16, because I wanted home.
That leg shaking, I know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that sentiment is close to home.
Yeah. I mean,
it was home.
The fact that he could even say this shit in front of another person, in front of his parents.
The way he's articulated.
But his parents are right there. His mom is there. The fact that I couldn't imagine have said that to anybody, in front of anyone at any point in my life. I could have never, I couldn't talk to my mom about anything till I was like 25, 26. And I'd already moved out for 8 years by that point. So it already shows to you how much progress we've made, where a kid can even feel comfortable enough to say a lot of this stuff in front of their parents. Just saying. Again, standards are here. Parenting is like this, but the standards is shot up, bro.
Yeah, sure.
Moms can be horrible. They can influence you in the worst ways. They can shape you incorrectly and really set you down a bad path, and that's a real...
Especially if it's just them. And I ain't even like trying to get on single moms right now, but especially when it's just them. You know what I'm saying? That is a very, very extremely difficult job raising a child. Now, and that's with two people. Now imagine how difficult it would be doing it by yourself. It's an extremely difficult operation. You know what I'm saying? It requires superior organization and consistency and discipline. You know what I'm saying? And just as one person, especially as one woman, it's gonna be very difficult for you to raise those kids and have those kids really be like, nah. You know what I'm saying? I had an awesome upbringing with just my mom. It usually don't work like that.
Part of parenting. That's a real part of parenting. And oftentimes we talk about fathers and this and that, and I agree. But mothers, they can play that role too.
Parents do that sometimes. Stress you the out for nothing. It's like, what's wrong? Like, sometimes you try to figure out what's wrong with your parents, and you're like, yo, what did I even do? Start to question yourself. Is it me? They on the second floor. There's the first floor, which is the ground floor. There's the second floor where the bedroom at. My bedroom is in the basement. 9 in the morning. She wakes up for a room and start banging on my door and passing the vacuum. Mind you, she never passes the vacuum in the basement. I do. Acting like it's dirty and everything and stuff. Open up my door, screaming in my... I laugh. Of course I laugh. It's not my house. And it will remind you that it's not your house. You need to get the fuck out. This was happening since... Well, I know why it was happening. It was happening because I disappointed in school. I was not... I that's what I believe. I believe that I was not my sister. My sister, she skipped a grade. I got left back. And the disappointment ensued and continued. Like, I couldn't do anything right and everything and stuff. It was more than that. It's just that the culmination was I was 23 when I was able to get a car. But before that, it's like you finish your whole day of track and field, your whole day of school, another practice of track and field. You go back home, you're tired, you're hungry. Mom wants to nag you about some bullshit. You ask her, please stop doing that because I'm not in the mood. She'll nag you and you go, stop. God forbid that I be chilling on the couch on a Saturday not doing it. God forbid. I'm 12 years old. My room is clean. God forbid that I just have my leg crossed on the couch. Yelling for what? Why are you yelling about?
This is actually one of those interesting things because I think it pertains a lot to like immigrants specifically. But, this is also part of that immigrant equation that people don't like to talk about. It's like people glorify immigrant life, but this is also a byproduct of that. You can't question your parents. You can't question the way they parent. You just have to be grateful, right? Like when you guys always talk about how the West is bad and you guys talk about how great immigrant, like your native countries are or whatever, this parenting style is also part of that. You're not allowed to question them. You're not supposed to have open conversations with your parents. If I go back to my native...
They talking about immigrants, they sound like niggas. They talking about immigrants, they sound like black people. Black people don't talk back to their parents for the most part. Maybe these YNs do nowadays. Becoming somewhat a little more prevalent amongst some of the younger generation. But yeah, for the most part, it sound like they talking about black people, not just immigrants. Cause everything they done said so far, not talking back. You know what I'm saying? The certain parenting styles, like everything that they described. If you just put black people instead of immigrants, then everything would still apply that he just said.
Country. If I go back to Ethiopia, you think people have real conversations with their parents about everyday life and their problems? I want it for that kid to be able to go, like he's stressing about somebody passed away, to be able to go talk to his parents, cry in front of them as the son and do all this stuff. But I just want to take a second to appreciate that people who want that and feel like that should be the standard is not the standard back home.
No, it's not. It is not. And I gotta give my parents some flowers because I was able to have at least a little bit of a conversation. But how much was I able to talk during that conversation? How much was I listened to and understood in that conversations? That's another story. But at least there was much more of a door.
Yeah,
I was able to put my thoughts out there, whether I was being listened to or not. That's different. And you look at it and you're like, that was not cool. Mm-hmm. Oh man, we laugh, and we always laugh about that. We laugh about that trauma of getting beat and stuff like that, right? We always laugh about that, but that's not cool.
The parent that this guy's describing, I had it times 100. It was even worse, and that's why I moved out when I was 16. So I was 16 going on 17. I moved out. My mom was like, I'm leaving. You can't. I'm gone. I have a part-time job. I'm not staying. And the resentment that builds, like I understand it completely. I can talk about it pretty openly today, very easily, not upset, nothing. Mostly because like me and my mom talked about it, we've figured it out, we've moved past it. She's changed tremendously, she's grown. So like me and my mom chilling now, we're really good friends. But at the time, I told her like, yo, you was like an average mom. I'll be honest with you. Like you weren't very good. But I also understood how I could forgive her because one, I got to talk to her about it. But two, I didn't make excuses for her, but I did understand. Like you as a child, your job is not to make excuses for your parents' bad parenting, right? You can understand it because there is a reason. They learned from their parents, who weren't very good parents either. And the truth is, our standards for parenting have far surpassed the learning curve. Meaning, all these new ideas about how people should parent, the kind of openness they have, these are all relative new concepts, and the parents haven't had time to catch up. So when you see a lot of shitty parents, vast majority of them learned it from someone before, and it was the standard. That's why we say oftentimes, like, I can see myself in this kid's experience because I had, like, a lot of parents go through the same thing because they all learned from the generation before. And there's no manual on parenting. I mean, there is now, but there wasn't when they was coming through. So they just learn generationally. Because you'll see it. And you know what's funny too? Your parent, as bad as they are, if you go check your grandparents, they were worse. So your parents are generally a toned down version of the bad habits your grandparents inflicted. Like I knew a kid who used to get beat by his dad. And when he had a conversation with his dad later on, he said, do you know how bad your grandpa used to beat me?
$386,808.
$40,000.
$144,000.
Did you know?
It was exponential. I'm not saying this makes it okay. Again, it's just to understand the psychology about it. Where does this come from? Where does this parenting style come from? It's like,
That's real though. Like when we was younger and we would get disciplined, we would get like whooped with a belt. You feel me? But my dad, he would always explain, well, not explain, because it really ain't much to explain, but he would always say and always tell us, like, he used to get his ass whooped way worse than us. Because he wasn't getting whooped, he was getting beat by his mama. So, you know what I'm saying? She was punching, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? So, as you know what I'm saying, progress, you know what I'm saying, is kind of more tamed versions of our ancestors being reproduced as us. You feel me? Like he just said, my dad, you know what I'm saying, he would whoop us, you know what I'm saying, on a regular whenever we did something wrong. But whenever he did something wrong, he got closed fist beatings. You know what I'm saying? Now imagine your mama closed fist beating you as a child when you fucking up. Or your uncle's coming over to beat your ass when you fuck up. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's different levels. You know what I'm saying? So it's different levels. But he right. I definitely agree with that. You definitely need to forgive your parents. You know what I'm saying? In your adulthood, and preferably earlier than later, sooner than later, because in the long run, it's gonna help you feel a lot better. You know what I'm saying? And in the long run, you know what I'm saying, ease some. I guess you could call it ease some pressure off of you. You know what I'm saying? Lighten the load. Just get that off your chest. It'll definitely, you know what I'm saying, help you emotionally and and shape your perspective in a way to where you can, you know what I'm saying, forgive them and actually forgive them genuinely. You know what I'm saying? Like you can accept your childhood for what it was and go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, forgive them so you can start building this friendship bond as you know what I'm saying, are an adult now, because now you have a more mutual footing and mutual understanding of each other. You know what I'm saying? Having went through this much life together, even though you were a kid going through all that bullshit. A lot of our parents are very young when they have us as well. So, and like you said, there's no manual. You know what I'm saying? We just going day by day trying to figure it out.
oh, okay. And like when I looked at my mom, it's like I understand. You know, she's an 18-year-old, had very little to no moral support system, brought to this country, left to fend for herself in a lot of ways. My dad was involved in a lot of times, but they had their issues between each other. And here she is, doesn't speak the language super well, working 2, 3 jobs, trying to buy this house, trying to raise these kids. And also the part that we never talked about at the time is like she's resentful. That idea of no one else can be happy around me is resentment. Resentment that you don't treat about where your life has gone, what things that you've had to do, where you are, and how unhappy you are with everyday life. So then you see your offsprings happy, oblivious to what you've been through because you can't talk to them about it. Because who's going to talk to a child about infidelity? Who's going to talk to a child about war-torn countries and the realities of that? Or having to never... There's so many things. And so me hearing this kid's experience, I get it. 1000%. And that does negatively impact you and set you on a bad path. And every kid should have access to, you know, parents who are able to listen to them when they're going through difficult things and be open to them. But knowing that and like understanding everything, I think the only thing you could do after the fact, if you just didn't have that in your childhood, is to hope that one day when your parent is willing to acknowledge some of the harm they've done, and then two, willing to have that conversation with you. There's two things you have to do, right? And I think immigrant kids do two things.
Or three. Know what I'm saying? And the best thing that I would say is that they, come to that they come to be honest and accountable about their missteps as parents and go ahead and fix those things or work on those things for their grandkids. Because oftentimes that's what happens. You know what I'm saying? People who have kids fairly young, you're fairly young when you have kids. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you start having kids early, like around early adulthood, around 18, 19, 20. You know, you don't know everything. You know what I'm saying? Especially about raising a kid. Nobody knows everything about raising kids. You feel me? So the best thing that they could do is like get it right for their grandkids. You feel me? Because now they have all this life experience. They've raised you and raised your siblings and all that. Now they can help you raise your kids because that's what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? Really having that village in place and having the village be healthy. You know what I'm saying? And all that in turn builds up mentally strong and mentally tough individuals. So even though, you know what I'm saying, a lot of times we go through this bullshit as kids, we still in the end up coming out okay. You feel me? But yeah, I agree with everything you just said so far.
Either they make excuses for their parents all the time and then accept all the nasty shit that they do.
That's what I won't do though. I can't make excuses for you. I can hear the stories, you know what I'm saying? You can tell me the stories about your upbringing, and I can understand where you get certain tendencies and things like that from, but I can't make excuses for you. And I can't not, because I can't not see it. Like, I'm going to see it every time. Like, I see through the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I see through the excuses. You can't piss on me and tell me it's raining. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't give a fuck about the excuse. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I could get over a lot of stuff, but we can't just act like the history didn't happen. You feel me?
Or they resent them and then they basically just live with that resentment forever.
And that's also not good. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people internalize the things they went through their childhood with their parents, and they harbor a lifelong resentment towards their parents that they just can't let go. You know what I'm saying? Like, even through therapy, a lot of people can't work through these certain emotions based on things that they went through with their parents during their childhood. Like, certain situations do get deep. Now, everybody doesn't deserve, forgiveness. There are a lot of cases where parents do very disrespectful or very heinous things to their kids, know what I'm saying? And those people you know, don't deserve forgiveness. So it is on a situation to situation basis, but for the most parts, even though our parents struggle to raise us, they do try very hard to do their best with the cards they're dealt. You know what I'm saying? But that's all we can do is our best. And if our best is mediocre, our best is mediocre. You know what I'm saying? If you're an average parent, you know what I'm saying, just do your best to not be a bad parent. That's all I can say, because parenting is the hardest job that you will ever sign up for in your life.
I think neither of those things are good. It's not good to make excuses for them because they never have a chance to.
But also, one more thing, that resentment will eat you up. You know what I'm saying? So I would say it is best to forgive, because it's best for you at the end of the day. Because harboring resentment, that's not good for your spirit.
Learn. They never have a chance to realize how wrong they are in some of their things. And then I also don't think it's good to just full on resent them forever, because you hold on to that forever and you're never going to have that relationship with them. And maybe that's for the best in some situations. I'm not going to speak on everyone's parenting situation.
Yeah, you was talking, I was like realizing, oh yeah, I'm a bit of a jackass. Cause my mom said exactly that. I was like, telling her, you did this, you did that, you did that. She's like, you know how bad I got it? I'm like, okay, and your parents got it bad too. So what are we talking about? I'm talking about you and me. I understand that you live whatever the hell you lived, but I'm talking about this right here. And you live in that, you tone it down, it's cute, but it's not cute. I lived that. I didn't live what you lived. Sorry you lived that, but no, that's what we're talking about. That does not excuse the fact. It doesn't add to the conversation. Yeah, I understand where you're from. I understand all that, but yeah, no. Let's talk about what you did.
You don't think it excuses it?
No, it doesn't excuse it. It explains it. It brings context to it, but it's not a reason.
Exactly. It's not a reason. I can't not acknowledge the fact that you fucked up in certain areas or did me wrong in certain ways. I I I can't not acknowledge it. I can't act like I didn't see it. No, you know what I'm saying? But I can understand. I can come to an understanding, but that doesn't mean I now feel good about what happened, or now I just accept what happened. Like, no, I still don't fuck with that shit. Now I have an understanding, but I still feel as if what happened didn't need to happen. You know what I'm saying? At all. Like, it's cool that I now at least understand. Having that understanding at least is better than not understanding and going through it. But I'd rather just not even go through it. You know what I'm saying?
It's actually the reason, but it's not. It's the cause, but not like, oh yeah, you should. No, you did that. You got to take accountability for your actions. For example, if you have a problem in your relationship, right? You don't communicate well, and you're starting to have a conversation with your partner, and your partner is pointing out, oh, there's that you do, and your answer is, yeah, but that's because I was brought up that way. Yeah, cool, whatever, fix it.
Yeah, but here is informed by your
Fix it.
lived experience. If you grow up only seeing sets of examples and that's all you know, expecting someone to do a 180 and be something completely different is not reasonable either. Progress is slow.
I don't want.
You have to have that kind of grace. That's what I mean when I say our standards have far exceeded what were expectations of what reasonable change is.
I'm not trying to. I'm not even trying them to be to do a full on 180. They cannot raise me again. That time is gone. We're just talking about. We're just talking about the. Hey, you did that. That happened. Stop denying the fact that it happened.
I disagree with Abba there. I don't necessarily think that the standards have increased for parenting. I would say that today's parents have less parenting skills than our parents had. You know what I'm saying? Because our parents' time is gone. We could say that the parenting standard is higher today than it was for them, but I'm not gonna say it's just exceeding, like it just shot out, like the expectations just went from 10 to 100. Maybe the expectations went from like 80 to 100. I'm saying, but the parent skill set from generation to generation is dwindling. You feel me? As the expectation is uh slowly creeping upward. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't, I can't explain the lack of parenting skills in our generation. I think it's the distractions. I would say is we got so many distractions these days. But yeah, I wouldn't say that the expectations are just blown out the water over the past generation. Nah, I wouldn't say that.
Happen, or they either, because they either do two things. When you bring something up, they either deny the fact that it happened because they forgot. Parents will forget sometimes how they did what they did. I never did that. My mom told me some. I never beat you. I had to look at my sister. I was like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck? Me? Never. What? Or whenever they don't forget and they remember what they did, they dodge it or they bring it. Oh, it's because of hey, yes. Bring it back here. We're gonna talk about this because what you live, I unfortunately can't understand. Do nothing about that. You know, I remember we did a video back then. And I said one thing that you could do is forgive your parents. You don't have to do it. I'm not in a situation, but one thing that helps you is forgive your parents, right, for what they did.
When you say forgive, what do you mean? Just so they understand.
For example, the actions, the being, the stuff that they did that was not really rational, that you didn't understand at that time, you can forgive them about that. You know, like you said, they were learning.
Well, why should you forgive them?
Because they were learning to be a parent at the same time as you was learning to be a kid. Because it was, depending on the situation, of course, and I'm talking about the light stuff, not the heavy stuff where, you know, court is involved and everything and stuff, but the light stuff is like, they were not, they didn't necessarily understand all the ramifications of everything, and because of the way they was raised, you're like, all right, you know what, I understand, because you understand the context of how you was raised, what you escaped to be here. If I'm talking about racism here, they had it way worse. I can understand that, and while they were living that, while they were raising me, so of course it was an X amount of pressure upon them, which I understand that. And if I transpose myself and I put a little bit of sympathy, transpose myself in your shoes, it would have been a lot for me as well. My mom was like, you don't have to forgive me for nothing. I'm like, okay, sit down. And we had a whole ass conversation. No, you don't have to. We were good parents. I'm not saying that, but you were not perfect.
Okay, maybe I'm gonna I'm gonna play your parents' advocate here.
Yes, of course you are.
What if I told you your parents were the best parents to come out of the Haitian diaspora? Would you say it's still not good enough?
No, that's not what I would say. Because no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that it was not good enough. It was good enough because thanks to them, I am where I am at. There's some flaws. I'm not saying yes, it was not perfect. It was
Good enough. You know what I'm saying? That's all you need right there. Good enough. You know what I'm saying? You made it to adulthood. You feel me? You healthy. You know what I'm saying? You obviously got some sort of skills that your parents taught you. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, what they did was good enough for you to be who you are today, and you should be grateful for that. And for that, you should have enough room and space in your heart to forgive your parents for whatever things that happened in the past that made you harbor some sort of resentment towards them. Because at the end of the day, they were learning to be a parent at the same time you were learning to be a child. In the same way that you'll grow up and have children and even have to forgive your children for certain shit, because we're not gonna sit here and act like the kids don't give the parents hell too. You know what I'm saying? So we're not gonna sit here and act like the kids are just perfect and the parents do all the wrong. You know what I'm saying? But as long as your parents do good enough for you to be a healthy, functioning adult in society and have some sort of mental toughness about you, your parents did good enough, and you should be appreciative. I will say that.
Was the best parents, some of the best parents that came out of the Haitian diaspora, 100%. I acknowledge that. I know that. It's not so much like I shit on my parents every time I see them. I acknowledge the good thing that they do. Oh, remember those things? Yeah, I know.
And I do want to go ahead and acknowledge that for my parents too. You know what I'm saying? I got to take a second to acknowledge everything that they did for me because I was their first accident. I was the first accident. You know what I'm saying? I am the oldest. So uh I had to grow up and, kind of develop my understanding and reflect back to those times and understand that when I was a child, my parents were also very young. You know what I'm saying? They had me like towards the end of the year, like around graduation time. You feel me? My mom was pregnant with me her senior year in high school. So a lot of times when I reflect and I think back, like when I was when I was two, my parents was 20. You know what I'm saying? Like just to put it in perspective, when I was five, they was like 22, 23, or something like that. So and they just really starting their own life. So I gotta acknowledge that they did, you know what I'm saying, try to adjust and make the necessary changes within themselves and start to build some sort of foundation because they wasn't married at the time. They got married when I think I was in kindergarten. I was like 4 or 5, but they got married around that time. But regardless, they did that. Had my siblings, you know, did the best they could. Always was working. You know what I'm saying? We was with our grandma a lot. You know what I'm saying, on the weekends and stuff like that. But yeah, you know what I'm saying, I do have to acknowledge all of the good things that my parents did because our parents do a lot of good things for us. And maybe sometimes when things don't necessarily go the child's way, they look at it as like the end of the world in a way, or uh overhype the negativity around it. You know what I'm saying? Just solely based off their emotion. You know what I'm saying? Because kids, kids, a lot like women, are governed by their emotions. Kids more so than women, obviously, but they're governed by their emotions. So when you look at things through an emotional lens as a child, sometimes it takes for you to grow up and become an adult and reflect back now with your adult, you know what I'm saying, perspective to have a better understanding of what it is that you were actually going through at the time. So I do want to go ahead and, you know what I'm saying, commend my parents for doing all the good things that they did do.
Some of my friends didn't have that. You have to acknowledge everything. I'm not just shitting.
Because some of my friends didn't have that. And like I said, my parents weren't married when I was born, but they got married, you know what I'm saying, when I was like 5. You know what I'm saying? And I, I lost my train of thought.
Things I shit on my parents every time I see them. I acknowledge the good thing that they do. Oh, remember those things? Yeah, I know some of my friends didn't have that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Because some of my friends didn't have that. Me and my brother had plenty of friends who only had their mom, or they had their mom and their mom had a boyfriend, maybe. You know what I'm saying? At best. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people I know had just their mom, or if it was their mom might have had a boyfriend. And the boyfriend usually wasn't, you know what I'm saying, You know what I'm saying? Wasn't really kicking in like that. You feel me? Not at least not for my friends. You know what I'm saying? So I do gotta give them credit for that as well, for sticking together for their kids, because that's something, especially in this generation with millennials and Gen Z. You know what I'm saying? People don't even stay together for their kids no more. That's why I'm like, the skill set of parents is just dwindling, because I don't think the expectations are blowing out of the water. I think people are just becoming worse parents because of all the distractions we got now.
Yeah.
And uh, the wage to expenses in America right now, the economy, the living expenses, cost of living, all this stuff is affecting people's ability to parent in 2025.
I have to acknowledge everything. I'm not just shitting on my parents every day. And I do understand that, but it's not perfect. No, it's not supposed to be. But if there's something that hurts you, you gotta tell them. If there's some shit that they did, you gotta tell them. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. No, but this happened. I don't have ill against my parents. I'm chilling with them. I'm cool with them. You've seen me with my parents, and you're still to this day amazed at how I talk to my parents. You're like, yo, shit, nigga, I could never have the conversation that you're having with your parents. That's something that is foreign to me. So it's not like I shit on my parents every day. We laugh, we say some dumb shit most of the time. I go to see my parents most of the time. Me, my sister, most of the time, it's some dumb shit.
I think there's two almost like irreconcilable truths about children and parenting. All kids deserve a loving and open home, and vast majority of parents are unequipped to provide that, or at least that was the case in previous generations.
Sure.
So on one hand, you gotta acknowledge that people were never given the tools for a lot of the stuff that people are wanting, and kids do deserve that. So how do you manage these two things? I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I would say parenting classes. Most people don't take parenting classes. I do want to take a parenting class. Uh, One, because I feel like it'll be good for me. Two, uh, two is because it will also, you know what I'm saying, just be a good experience. You know, I feel like I could learn something. You know, they could probably give me some tips and pointers or daily habits that would be you know what I'm saying, good for a parent to practice, you feel me? So that is something that I want to do, and that's something that I would recommend to people as well. And that's something that I would recommend to especially people who have a kid on the way. You know, you'll have all your doctor's appointments and checkups and things of that nature, but I would say, you know what I'm saying, take a parenting class as well, you know, because it can't hurt. You know what I'm saying? It can only help.
I think it's tough because again, this comes back to what I said before, which is our standards for what parents should be doing has just shot through the roof with social media and this last 20 years. But have parents is learning and all these things count? I don't think so. I don't even think it's close. And with that in mind, it's like how do you give grace whilst also acknowledging that on the other side of that grace is a child who may have been neglected in a lot of ways that are important? I don't know. It's not an easy answer. I think you forgive your parents not because you make them feel good about what they do. You don't have to forgive them by talking to them. You can forgive them by yourself. Forgiving them to me is one, acknowledging what.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't even have to be like a long drawn out process. Like, you could just spiritually extend the forgiveness. You feel me? You don't have to have like a formal conversation or write them a letter or anything like that. You just forgive them within yourself, and that will relieve so much tension and pressure off of your chest and allow you to, you know what I'm saying, cultivate a new relationship with them in your adulthood that's, you know what I'm saying, more healthy than the one that you had from your childhood, because you were, you know, uh, looking and judging your parents based on your emotions, based on your childhood emotions or your childish expectations. Or maybe it was, you know what I'm saying, their lack of skill in certain areas. But yeah, man.
What they did to you that was harmful, which is important because a lot of kids don't even want to do that. And then secondly, it lets you let go of that resentment, because I know some kids who just grow up resenting their parents forever, and they hold on to that negative emotions, and it feeds to even how they end up parenting.
And then they become exactly what they resent.
Or worse, they try to become the opposite. Either way, you're kind of governed by your past experience. Either you become that, or you try to become the opposite of that as much as possible. I had the same thing for a long time. I used to get triggered when I heard nagging. Like if a woman nagged me, I'd lose my fucking mind. And it's like sometimes folks might nag you in minor ways. It's not crazy.
I ain't gonna lie, I don't be wanting to hear that shit. Cause it's never ever about nothing important or nothing deep. Like I do not be wanting to hear that shit, bro. Like that should be for the birds. And a lot of times it be like it be something so small. It be like something that anybody can fix. Like this something you coming to me to nag about this when you could have fixed that on your own. Like even if I caused the issue, like if I left a sock on the stairs or something, how hard is it for you to pick up that sock and put it like in the laundry room or some shit? Versus you coming all the way to me to chastise me about the sock. And I'm not talking about like my mama or nothing. I'm saying, for instance, like if this my girl or something, you come all the way to me to chastise me about a sock on the stairs when you could have picked that shit up and just threw it in the laundry room. That type of shit will make me want to break up with you. I ain't even gonna lie. Cause that's petty. Like little petty stuff like that. That should have had you single. I ain't even gonna lie. Single was $1 bill.
But I used to not be able to manage that at all. That was me doing the opposite of what my mom did to me, right? And there's other little things like that from my father or whatever, where it's just like, just wasn't good. I thought this was a good video, and I hope, this family figures it out. But anyone watching at home, your kids are not your emotional punching bag. They are not your emotional sponge either. You have a responsibility to protect them. If you're not feeling great, that doesn't mean you got to come home and pretend to be happy. But it does mean that you should have a responsibility to not make your feelings everyone else's feelings. To not steal their happiness because you're unhappy. To not steal their
And that's more so a woman thing. Like I don't see men going to work, slaving at work, coming home and like taking it out on their kids. I do hear some women say that their man goes to work and come home and take his frustrations out on them. I kind of don't believe that either. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause women see things through an emotional lens as well, and sometimes they take a man being straightforward as like them being mean. You feel me? So, yeah, you just gotta be mindful. Just got to be mindful.
moments because you're not like enjoying your moments or your period in life. That's theirs.
Yes.
So that's what I'll say.
You don't get to unload on your kids because your shit is.
No. But I mean, listen, it was a good discussion. Maybe you guys disagree on parts. Maybe you feel like we should be less forgiving of bad parenting and stuff like that. And look, I say bad parenting, it's a spectrum, right? Like, I don't think we should have that much grace with people beating their kids and all this other shit, but it is important. It's important to really understand, especially for the immigrants watching. Go talk to your parents. Oh, how about that? No. Go talk to your parents and have some candid conversations about their parents and what they learned.
Yes.
And you're going to probably get a good history lesson on some fucked up shit.
Yes.
That's if they're even open enough to talk to you. Because most parents I know who are immigrants would never tell you the truth. How many times is you niggas getting older? And only as you get older, you're like, oh, that's why this uncle's in prison, or that's why we don't talk to this person, or they hide so much, and they do it to protect you. And I understand to a degree, but it's actually bad because it doesn't let you really see the environment that's shaping them. It's actually one of the worst parts of it. They hide so much, and there's so much. Like, maybe y'all different.
What I hate about that shit, the shit that you just said, just to believe on that.
That. I mean, Sort of, kinda. Certain family information, I guess. Adults try to hide, keep from children. For the most part, it's gonna be very difficult to hide family issues and drama from children. But they parents do try to shield their kids, from seeing as much drama as possible, or at least they should. But yeah, I what he say?
So much like maybe y'all different.
What I hate about that shit, the shit that you just said, just to believe on that, is whenever they hide so much shit about the family to you, and then you talk to such and such person, and then you tell them, and like, you spoke to that person, and like,
Was I not
what do you
supposed to?
mean I'm not supposed to? We don't talk to that person. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna know if you don't tell me, lady. Yeah. And then I'm out there looking like a fool because whatever exchange I had with the person was kind of awkward, and I was wondering why you hide so much shit. Whew.
I'm in the same boat. But yes, let us know what y'all think in the comments.
Let's roll.
Bisous.
My favorite.
Let me know what y'all think in the comments too. You know what I'm saying? If you like this video, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I drop the next video. If y'all want me to react to more I've been preach videos, let me know. I got some body cam police footage videos that you can go check out. Let me know if you want more of those. Just check out the page and see what I got. You know what I'm saying? If you got any comments, any advice, because I am still kind of new at this. You know what I'm saying? So I'll take any pointers or any type of constructive criticism y'all got from me. But until next time, y'all.